ways, hear me good, one of the number one, not 11, one, all right, one of the number one ways to lower your student loan payments. In this regard, if you're on an income-based repayment plan or anything that's based upon your income, is to have a home. Candace here, your revenue growth strategist, always showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor. And I'm going to be sharing some great tips with you in this video about student loans, a few more great tips. So in the last video, I shared with you that you could use some strategies so that you can lower your student loan payments. In that video, I gave you some great tips. So if you did not see that video, make sure you go back and take a look at it. So that you can make sure you get the great tips that I gave you in that one. So let's move forward. With that video, I said, hey, make sure that you know how to lower your student loan payments and use the strategies in order to do that if you're on the income-based repayment plan or a repayment plan that's based upon how much money you make, okay? So with that in mind, I want to give you these tips to make sure you understand how the system works, okay? So one of the number one ways, hear me good, one of the number one, not 11, one, all right, one of the number one ways to lower your student loan payments. In this regard, if you're on an income-based repayment plan or anything that's based upon your income, is to have a home-based business. I'll say it again. The number one way to save money on your student loan payments is to have a home-based business. Now let me tell you about it. I know that when you first look at it, you're like, Candace, I don't want a business. Oh, it's hard. Listen, get out of yourself right now, okay? Get out of your own head. Don't prejudge this message. Don't prejudge this video. Don't cut it off, right? Keep it on and just hear me out. Let me tell you what's really happening, okay? You remember I told you in one of the videos, I said you can't go to the basketball game with a football. You have to know the rules of the game so that you can win, right? And play the game properly so you won't lose and therefore lose more money than you have to. So let's talk about what should be happening. A home-based business, let's do it. It's basically you having a business from your home that you're not going out and getting a brick and mortar, a large building or anything of that sort. You have a legitimate business that you're running from your home. You go out with products or services and you're offering those services to clients. Boom. Very simple. And we're not going to talk about how to open a business today. I just want to tell you why it's important for you to have one. So let's do it. America has two tax systems. Two. One for the employee and one for the business owner. One for the employee and one for the business owner. The employee in America almost gets zero tax deductions for being in America and on their tax return. Why am I saying that? Well, the standard deduction is now $12,000 or higher, so that means, and this is based upon your status, you're single, head of household, married, whatever it is, right? So that's based upon that information. What I'm telling you is that based upon that increase of the standard deduction being so high, most people don't actually have personal things that they can write off on their taxes anymore. I'll tell you more about that in another video, but hear me out. A business owner has over hundreds, right? They have over 450, but really it's hundreds of tax deductions that they qualify for just for being in business. Now, what am I saying to you? Business owner or employee, you get benefits for being in America, but the greatest benefit goes toward the business owner because business owners continue to keep the revenue driving and flowing in America. America was built on business ownership and they give benefits to the business owner. Hear that, okay? So with that in mind, why am I telling you to have a home-based business? Because your regular expenses can now become business expenses. So the tax law says that normally the government does not allow you to write off personal expenses. However, one of my favorite words in the tax law, however, if you have a personal item that is used partially for business, you can actually write off the business portion of that item. So what are some of those items that it could be? Well, let's say your cell phone. boom, your customers call you or contact you on your cell phone. Now, instead of that cell phone just being an expense that you pay out every single month, it's now a tax deduction, and it's partially used for business. Another one, let's say the internet in your home. Well, you probably have a website if you have a business, or some way of you running your business to get it out to the marketplace. Well, guess what? You need internet to do that. That's a regular expense that just got turned into a business expense. What about travel? Do you travel? Do you go on trips? Well, we no longer, and let me say me for myself, right? I no longer take vacations. I go on business expansion trips. When I go on that business expansion trip, I always leave home with business in mind. Shout out to Mr. Daryl Dandridge. I always leave home with business in mind, making sure that I plan ahead to do business, to expand my business in that area. That trip is no longer a vacation. It is a business expansion trip. And if I have fun, which I will, and you can see I have fun anyway, I'm having fun right now, but on that trip, if I have fun, the government didn't say you couldn't have fun, right? So who said you can't mix business and pleasure? All right, another one. What about your car expenses? You have a vehicle? Well, you can actually write those car expenses off on your taxes if you have a home-based business, because remember, you're using your car for partial purposes of business, so partial personal and partial business. Therefore, you get to write off things like your mileage, or you can write off the maintenance on your vehicle, just depending on how you go about it. But guess what? It's no longer just an expense. Are you catching it? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? What I'm saying is, you need a home-based business so that you can benefit as it relates to really being in America, right? But let's talk about it. So let's make sure we flow. Now, we're talking about student loans, and you're like, okay, Candace, how does this relate to my student loans? Well, let's say, for example, you make $40,000 a year. Let's do it up here. $40,000 a year, okay? This is for example. I'm going to use a very simple example because I know it can get really complex when we start talking about taxes, but because we live in a progressive tax system and all that stuff. But we won't go there. I'm going to keep it simple, okay? You make $40,000 a year. $40,000 a year. Let's say you have $10,000 in business expenses. Well, whenever they calculate the amount of money that's actually coming in, and they're saying, okay, how much money did you make? They're calculating that money based upon your adjusted gross income. Catch me. What's your adjusted gross? Your adjusted gross income is all of your income minus the qualified deductions that you qualify for, that can be deducted from your income. So let me get you a formula, okay? All income, right there, all income minus eligible deductions equals your adjusted gross income. So your simple example, we got it. You made $40,000 minus $10,000, which is your eligible deduction from your business expenses. Well, that makes you taxed on $30,000. Guess what? Your student loan payments are going to be based upon that $30,000 instead of that $40,000 because you have a home-based business. So what does that say? That says that they're not counting the actual expense for your business. They're taking it off because they say, hey, you're eligible for that, and we don't want to penalize you because we know you're growing revenue in the economy, right? So with that in mind, I want to keep this simple. I want to make sure you understand you need, not want, you can want one, but you need a home-based business in order for you to lower your student loan payments, because they're looking at your adjusted gross income and they're saying, hey, how much money are you bringing in? And they're basing it upon the income after those expenses. That's amazing. So you're telling me, now you're like, Candace, all right, run that by me one more time. Yes, I'm telling you, you can write off your lifestyle. Some people like to call it a lifestyle business. If you have a legitimate business ran from your home, your everyday expenses get turned into business expenses, and it's just a beautiful thing. If you don't have a business in America, you lose. That's the gist of it, okay? So one other tip I want to give you in order to lower your payments, remember that your student loan payments, when they ask you on the paperwork, they say, hey, how many people live in your household? This is an important question because you want to answer it properly and you want to be truthful. So you make sure you tell them how many people live in that household with you. That does not mean that those people have to be filed on your taxes. So, for example, I had a friend and she was like, well, Candace, at the time, my sister's living with me and her 2 children because they're going through some times right now and we just want to, make sure that we can support each other as a family. And I said, absolutely. Well, on your student loan paperwork, you can let them know it's me and 3 others, because those are the people that are in your household that you're helping to support at this time. When that changes, you change it on your student loan paperwork. But what they'll do is they'll say, okay, your adjusted gross income is this, so that $30,000. You have a total of 4 people, which is you and 3 others in your household. Let me put together, and this is what they'll do, they'll put together a computation to say your student loan payments are this amount, instead of you being single and making $40,000, which would make it a different amount. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you because it's so important for you to make sure that you're growing your revenue without using your labor, because this way, how is this growing your revenue? Instead of you paying $400 a month for student loans, you could be paying maybe $200 or $100 a month for student loans, because you're using the system the way it's supposed to be used. It's making sure that you're educated about what's going on and making sure you're going to the basketball game with a basketball. Okay, I like basketball. All right, so with that in mind, I just wanted to share that with you. Make sure that you're doing your paperwork properly. If you need some assistance, you know how to contact me. Comment in the video. Our phone number is 501-613-7423. And you can always connect, right? Always connect to make sure you're getting the proper information and getting the assistance that you need, all right? So with that in mind, I am Candace, your revenue growth strategist, always showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor, and I'll see you all soon.